time to take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and more than 15 podcast platforms. We also invite you into the studio each week via YouTube. Subscribe and watch each episode on our YouTube channel at Turner O'Neill Podcast. Thanks to our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. And our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by me, DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 25 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am Kurtis Cross, your host, and as always, I'm joined by Coach Casey O'Neill in studio, and Big Brother is remote as he is in between summer camp and a summer league game this evening for his Purple Eagles summer squad. Our engineer is DJ Krissy, and together we welcome you to this week's episode. Our premier partner for Season 2 is Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray is a friend of the program, and he is the only mortgage lender we endorse right here at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ray Cruz is mortgage intelligently. I can personally vouch for Ray myself. We'd like to thank our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and the Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. This week, Patrick Harbeson joins us for some lacrosse talk covering WCAC, UVA Cavs, and his current home with the PLL Redwoods. But first, gentlemen, how was your week? Coach Turner, you're remote. Talk to me about your week, sir.
Oh, man. Last week back in the gym with campers. It was a beautiful day on I-Street, and to be able to come back this Monday today and have another new group of kids in the gym was exciting. Summer. Over the weekend, we had our second live spirit event for the high school guys, and we were up in Philly where there was 400 plus college coaches in the gym scouting, not only our guys, but all the teams that were a part of the Philly Live Tour event. Heck of an event put on by the head coach of Archbishop Wood and Emotep Charter up in Philly. So I want to give a little shout out to those guys because they did an unbelievable job of making sure these kids had a place in a safe haven, had the opportunity to be looked at, try to get a college scholarship. And took our guys and stayed overnight, and those guys hit a couple of Philly cheesesteak spots up in Philly. It's Gabibbles and Stella Sandro's, two of the best. And then we had just a great weekend of building camaraderie, getting to know each other instead of being on a Zoom call, but living together. And it was a fun-filled weekend for the Purple League.
Coach Turner, pretty nice to see coaches live and in color and in person watching these kids play. Wouldn't you agree? Because we had a very similar experience. So now instead of this virtual film, right? To see the guys, see the coaches, get to see these young people in person. So awesome.
It was great. I mean, I'd say the only thing that I'm lost at is I'm still trying to figure out what these coaches are looking for. So I thought some guys from ours played unbelievable this past weekend, and I'm waiting on the phone to ring, but hasn't happened in the way I'd like it to happen yet.
I hear you. I feel the same way.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have a coach here in the studio who's a little jealous because you play on the hardwood indoors, and his camp is being run outside in the heat right now, Coach Turner.
I walked inside and said, man, this feels nice. And look, Steve is working hard. He's got camp all summer in there, grinding, getting the kids in, new families. But, man, today was like, welcome back to camp. You haven't had it for a year and a half, 2 years, excuse me. It's going to be 105 total on the turf out there, kids 8 to 14. But you know what? We have fun with them. We tell them to smile. You put the hoses out there, you squirt them down, and the kids got through it. So, but I was a little jealous. I walked in to grab some things around lunchtime and looked over and said, man, AC feels nice.
How was your weekend, sir?
Weekend was great. Wait
a minute. Time out. You were on vacation.
Yes.
All right, talk about it, baby.
I'm back. We were in the beautiful Rocky Mountains in Colorado. This was a trip that we've been planning for quite some time. And Cole, Chloe, Claire, Mrs. O'Neill, myself, minus the dog. That broke my heart a little bit.
Okay.
Flying out to Denver. And we rented a car, and we just got in the car and went. And as soon as you leave Denver, for folks listening, if you've never been there, I mean, you fly over the plains, and it's just flat. And then you land in Denver, and it's kind of flat. Oh, no. Get on 70 West, and you get about 5-10 miles, and bam, there are the Rockies right in front of you. And so we just drove right into them. And I felt like Clark Griswold, and they made fun of me about that movie because I was so, look at the beauty. And they're like, Erica's like, focus on the road. We're going up these mountains. But we drove out, and it was a wonderful trip, one that, Cole getting older, internships maybe next summer, different things going on that we just knew we had to strike while the iron was hot. Claire is old enough to enjoy this and be able to do the hikes we did and the whitewater rafting and the, we did everything from crossing the Continental Divide, hiking up as far as, 12,000, 13,000 feet, seeing ghost towns, seeing where Doc Holliday was born, and looking for bears and for moose, which we never found.
Why are you looking for them?
Well,
why are
just
you
maybe
looking
spotting. We weren't trying to attract them. We were just trying to look for them and just see if we could find them.
Did I
on the
see
side.
other folks in the photos? Did more family go?
Sure. No, a great friend of mine, assistant coach, has a place out there in the Aspen area, and he was very kind to let us come and stay with them and his family. Kids kind of line up, the same age, and they were just very gracious. So we were in Breckenridge first, and then we went out to the Aspen. And I'm telling you, you ever had your knuckles just go white when you're driving?
I have not, nervous? But I've heard of this. Okay,
so we were going to do a trip up Mount Evans, which is the highest paved road at 14,000 feet. Highest paved in not North America, but United States.
U.S., of course.
Where you could drive up and get to the top. Now, they said, look, there's no guardrails when you do this. It's 2 lanes, but it's tight.
Oh.
It's tight. And Mrs. O'Neill nixed that, said, we're not doing it. So I said, okay. Well, when we drive from Breckenridge to Aspen, we go south and then through another part of the divide. We went 12,600 feet on a paved road. Hey, man,
with no guardrails.
Anything over 10,000 feet is the same. No guardrails. And again, Clark Griswold here was admiring and telling the kids to look out the window. And I had a few of those moments. My palms were sweating. You literally make a U-turn and cars are coming down and there's no guardrailing, and it is a 10,000-foot drop.
I'm getting nervous hearing about it.
It's only open in the summers, right? June, September.
Not in the winter time.
Not in the winter.
No,
you got to
sir.
go up and around. But just how beautiful our country is. And look, you've done cruises. You've been up to Alaska, and you've seen. Right. And it just amazes me how beautiful it is. You could be on the Chesapeake Bay, the Atlantic Oceans, Florida, the Everglades, the plains. You could be out in the Rockies. It's amazing. It's amazing. So we had a great trip. Made our way back to Boulder for a night. Saw Colorado. See you out there. Saw some of Erica's family in the Denver area. It was amazing. So I'm back, baby.
He is back for episode 25.
And whitewater rafting. Let me tell you about that real quick.
Okay.
Miss Claire was our captain. We didn't do the big Class 5 rapids, none of that stuff. These guides are professionals. They got us in the Class 1, Class 2. And
you were scared.
I don't think I was scared as bad as I was when she said, you got to jump in. You know what the water temperature was when I went in?
48 degrees.
Lower. It was 40.
No, sir. Can't do that.
And she said it is cold mountain water just coming down. It was all stuff you got to do at some point. Amazing.
Our pool temperature is absolutely in the 80s or early 90s. That's the kind of temperature I like. Krissy, tell me about your week. You had a bunch of shows. You tell us about your week, young lady.
It was a long week. Like you said, just back to work. That's my week.
Right. I counted. We did 9 total. You did 5 of them. I did 4 of them. So you pulled your weight last week.
Yeah. Yeah, I may have.
You guys,
What's that, Coach?
I said you guys are getting it done.
They're getting it done. They're back, baby.
Well, DJ Krissy, I will always say this. She's the most tenured and experienced female DJ out there. She pulls her weight. She'll do a double. She did a double last Thursday. She did a double outside. She doesn't care. She's about making that money, and she's about producing great events. Thank you, Krissy. And she's been to Alaska as well.
Let's go.
All right. Now, let's get into our first commercial break, and we will return with this week's headline. Kurt Cross here, producer of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. You know, there are few relationships more solid than the bond between a man and his barber. For years, I've gotten my cut with Gene the Barber. Gene has been cutting my hair for more than 20 years. Now, if you have a barber you're happy with, I understand. But if you're new to the area or looking for that perfect cut, my man Gene will tighten you up. Call him directly at 240-687-7253 and make an appointment. Gene the Barber, 240-687-7253.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our friends of the program: Shane Benson, Todd Bradley, Paula Cross, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Daniel Richard, Noah Richard, Andrea Terronez. If you'd like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Become a Friend.
Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at TurnOn Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerandoneil.com. A Squared Home and Office Solutions is the go-to source for home or office network and audiovisual solutions. We can help with smart home integration, wireless networking, media rooms, security systems, and more. We will link technology to your style seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info. One headline is brought to you by
Insurance Alliance Group manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property loss. Request a free claim review with the property loss professionals. Insurance Alliance Group. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Today's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. This week's headline: what do the Washington Wizards need in terms of leadership and on-court personnel to make hoops exciting at Capital One Arena? Coach Turner, you're a basketball guru. Talk to us. What are they missing, and why are they moving so slow in the coaching, and hiring a new coach?
It is mind-blowing to me. They got a hometown guy that they should have already called in, at least, if nothing, have a conversation with.
Right.
And my man, David. But it's Washington sports a lot of times in a nutshell. We sit back and we wait, relax, and miss the boat. And we end up finding ourselves trailing in last place. We haven't made moves that we need to make to give ourselves the best opportunity to be the best franchise, program, basketball team, sport team, whatever you want to call it, that we can be. And as a fan, it's frustrating. I think they were making some good moves with pieces that they've gotten. They certainly still got to make even more in terms of, I think, their front line. And I think maybe even another scorer on the wing. But I'm just baffled that you haven't heard much of anything as it pertains to them and hiring a new coach and looking at what potential moves they could make. My prayer is that there's, like we talked in the last episode, there's a lot of guys doing a free agency. I'm waiting to see how we play it out.
Well, and that's the thing, because whoever you bring in as a coach,
it's going to make a big deal. That's a big deal for those free agents.
Right, and exactly. And he or she wants to bring in, who they want to bring in based on what they're going to run, the personnel that fits their squad. They've had an interview or two, but now I heard they're going to interview Chauncey, but I think he's talking elsewhere in a more serious form. Penny Hardaway looks like he's going to be in Orlando. Go ahead, Steve.
Chauncey's going to Portland. That's done.
Right. So, I mean, what are they waiting on? In the interviews I'm hearing about, I don't even know these guys. I don't know everything.
Do you think it's any of the Final Four assistants here in the Final Four of the NBA?
Even so, you can ask permission to talk. Jason, well, no, we're not in anymore, but Jason Kidd got plucked.
Sure.
Didn't someone get plucked from Brooklyn like minutes after they lost? I mean, you can have these conversations and ask permission.
I feel like there's a plan around it, and the coach makes a big deal. But this is now what I was thinking about when I saw this headline is the NBA's taken as we've seen with the teams that are in this last group, the Western Finals, the Eastern Finals.
Don't do it.
But it's taken a little seesaw here, and now it's the time to strike. I mean, you see Philly, and they kind of blew that chance this year. They'll be back. They'll be fine. It's all the haters, but this is the time now. I mean, you've got an incredible backcourt. What are you going to do? Obviously, Bradley's around. I don't know what Russell's contract.
He's still in the contract because I don't think he's a free agent yet.
But they are missing that 6'8" and above, just wing guy. That's something there, and it's not Rui. It's not. He's great. He's fine, but it's somebody right there, and it's maybe one of those free agents. But they're right there in the thick of it. They could be right there.
Thomas Bryant gets healthy. What happens there?
Yeah,
right?
but he's a big center and does his thing and runs the court pretty well. But now's the time to strike. I mean, this is it.
Teams either looking for or already with new coaches: Dallas, Portland, Boston, Atlanta, Indiana. Excuse me, I said Atlanta. I did not mean that. Oh, no, they are looking because he's got the interim tag still. Indiana, New Orleans, Orlando, Washington. More than 25% of the teams have changed coaches. Other teams have moved swiftly to fill their vacancies, and the Wizards have made no noise. And that is your one headline.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill can be found on more than 15 podcast platforms. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill records weekly with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
Next Level Lacrosse. Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs. We stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic, from beginning programs to rec leagues, travel clubs to summer programs. We develop the young and experienced players alike. Next Level Lacrosse has a rich tradition of running the best middle and high school lacrosse leagues in the DMV area. You will find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com or call 240-497-1460.
Body and Beyond Wellness is acupuncture and wellness consulting. Our peaceful oasis is nestled just outside the Washington, D.C. Beltway. Our acupuncture treatments, workshops, and other wellness offerings will have you feeling restored, renewed, and revived. A limited appointment schedule is now available, but you must call in advance to schedule. Call 301-758-7980 or visit www.thebodyandbeyond.com for more info.
Winsight Media. Winsight delivers connections and intelligence to four of the fastest growing verticals: convenience retailing, grocery businesses, restaurants, and non-commercial food service through broad and cutting-edge platforms. No company is better positioned to meet the food industry's needs than Winsight. Connect with us at www.winsightmedia.com.
Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By advertising with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. In Season 1, we reached a total of more than 100,000 listeners, viewers, subscribers, and website visitors combined. Your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Advertising with Turner and O'Neill equals exposure on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more than 15 listening platforms total. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand.
The Starting Five is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation As an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
The starting five. Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am your host, Kurtis Cross, and I'm with Coach Steve Turner remotely and Casey O'Neill. Our engineer is DJ Krissy, and we are up to our weekly starting five. 5 questions I will ask of each coach, and they each have 30 seconds to answer these questions. They can defer 1 question each, and of course, we have our rapid fire round as well. That was a tongue twister. I'm glad I got through that one. DJ Krissy, what happens if they go over their 30 seconds? Gentlemen, let's do it. The man is remote, so I'm going with him first. If you had a yacht, what would you name your yacht, Coach Turner?
Come on, Coach. He's trying to use up his 30 seconds.
No, I ain't trying to use up my 30 seconds. I don't know what the heck I would name my yacht.
Krissy, you counting, Krissy?
I defer.
He defers. All right.
I defer.
Coach O'Neill.
I mean, there could be something kind of trendy with the name Casey or Captain and something like that. But I'm thinking about where I've coached for a long time and a play that we have coming out of the box, and we call it Eagle One. I'd call it Eagle One, even though it's on by sea. It'd be Eagle One, baby.
Eagle One. Purple letters on the side?
No. We change it up. We do something cool.
Who's going to be the godmother of the ship? Someone has to christen it, right? Erica.
Krissy.
Oh, DJ Krissy.
Let's go.
She's going to hit the champagne bottle on the side to christen the ship. You like that, Chris?
And then we're recording.
In the cartoon where you hit it with the bottle and then the ship sinks. Is that?
No, we're not doing that.
Something out of like Popeye. And,
we're not doing olive oil and all that. Coach Turner, it's back to you. What is your yacht called, sir?
Nadia 1.
Nadia 1. You want to go into that for us?
No, maybe not.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It is the name that I wanted to name if I had a daughter.
Oh.
We will go with that. I love it. Coach O'Neill, coming back to you. Building your coaching staff from scratch, what quality must each assistant have?
Competitive. They got to be competitive. They absolutely want to win in every little drill, battle, game, whatever it is. They got to be very
Coming to
competitive.
practice, they got to beat you there and get the first parking space?
Just get
ping pong?
Yeah.
Everything.
Compete. That's it. Yep.
All right. Coach Turner, what quality must each assistant coach have if you're building from scratch?
I like coaches being competitive because I think that's important. In today's society, I think they got to have compassion.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We deal with a lot of families, and compassion will be a key characteristic I want my coaches to have.
That's a good answer.
Coach Turner, who takes longer to get ready in your home, you or Leah?
Leah, not even close.
You, Coach O'Neill, who takes longer, you or Erica?
I mean, I think sometimes I can take I don't have quite the wardrobe. I can take a little while, but Mrs. O'Neill, and that's why
it's hard work looking as good as you. I understand.
But she's gorgeous whenever she puts on anything.
All right, coming back to you, Coach O'Neill. In this round, favorite single serving snack, chips, pretzels, whatever. Mine are blue Doritos. What are yours?
I love blue Doritos as well. I really do. You know what? I will go with a snack. I'll go with some salt and vinegar chips, man.
Okay.
That's pretty dang solid right there.
All right, Coach Turner, single serving snack. What are you going with? You can make it cookies, whatever.
Oh, man, give me some Cheetos.
Some Cheetos. You got it. All right, Casey.
They get all up in your hands, man. It's just,
they taste good, though.
They do.
Rapid fire. Casey, you're first. Sunroof or convertible?
Sunroof.
Apple or PC? Keep in mind, if you go PC, you're giving up iPads, iPhone, MacBook.
Apple.
All right. One thing you wish you had in your home right now?
It'd be nice to have a garage.
All right. Skiing or snowboarding?
Snowboarding.
So, I'm not done. I messed that one up. Skiing/snowboarding weekend or camping weekend?
I've done a lot of camping weekends. We're trying to, hey, after being out in Colorado, man, I'm going to go that ski.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Fully paid vacation home or current mortgage paid off?
About vacation home.
You got to.
Done.
Because you go there 4 times a year, rent it out, and that rent will pay for your first home, right?
Done and done.
Coach Turner, you are on the hot seat, motorcycle or wave runner?
Motorcycle.
One guest you'd like to get on the podcast?
I've been saying it for a long time. Carol Lawson.
Yeah, you have. Gas or electric appliances?
Yeah.
A new car every year at no cost to you, or 2 vacations each year domestically that you don't pay for. So the new car every year or 2 vacations a year you don't pay for in the U.S.
Oh, give me the 2 vacations.
All right. Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Do you want your team led by Trae Young or Devin Booker?
Substance over sexy. Give me Devin Booker.
All right. I would agree with you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting 5. The starting 5.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and click subscribe.
Be sure to listen now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Healthy Baller is dedicated to developing athletes at any level through customized programs created by their world-class trainers. Healthy Baller creates an unparalleled training experience centered around the athlete and coach relationship. Between their physical therapy team and strength and conditioning staff, they create an all-encompassing process to help injured athletes return to the field. For the young athlete, Healthy Baller is an excellent training and confidence builder. Paula and I personally know this as our children attend Healthy Baller twice each week. With Blair and Molly training our 12 and 10-year-olds, we can personally vouch for their expert training and dedication to each athlete. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com and tell them Kurtis and Paula sent you.
This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by...
From Washington, D.C. to Ocean City, Woodbridge to Columbia, Richmond to Virginia Beach, the hottest DJs are right here. The Mid-Atlantic Professional DJ Association.
Current social distancing does not allow for event gatherings in the traditional sense. When it's time to plan your bar or bat mitzvah, office party, Sweet 16, or any event, we've got your party solution. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event experts. Our virtual events division has perfected an entertainment experience like none other. We bring the celebration to you. Contact us for virtual trivia, office parties, nightclub nights, or any virtual event. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event solution. Visit www.mapdja.com or call 301-942-4500.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've invited a career lacrosse man to join the podcast. Patrick Harbeson is currently with the PLL Redwoods, with roots tied right here to the D.C. area. An Annapolis native playing WCAC Lacrosse at DeMatha, Pat went on to UVA, where as a Cavalier, he won an NCAA championship in 2011. In the PLL, he is known as a crucial two-way player for the Redwoods during the past 2 seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, taking a TO with us today, please welcome Patrick Harbeson. Patrick, how's it going, fella?
Hey, guys, I appreciate it.
All right, excellent. Coach Casey, please greet our wonderful guest.
Hey, I remember this young man back when I was first starting to become a head coach, giving me fits on the field, getting into the rivalry, DeMatha and Gonzaga.
WCAC, baby.
And I always thought, man, he'd look good in this purple over here. I love the way he plays. But no, I've gotten to know him a little bit over the years. I have huge respect for you and just the career you've made and what you've done for this sport. And I'm excited to talk and chop it up with you. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the WCAC ties and all those battles in the mid 2000s. They were great. I think, just to set the record straight, being a DeMatha guy, and we can talk deeper about the lineage, but there was no way that I was gonna wear purple. But over the course of the years and seeing what you've built there, man, even though the rivalry runs deep, I think you always have to just be able to tip your hat to what to greatness and excellence, and to be honest, what you built at Gonzaga it speaks for itself, and you have something great going on there. So, kudos to you guys, and much respect.
I really appreciate that, and I think that's the beauty of sport in general, and respect, and I've always said this, that DeMatha, while the rivalry is strong in any sport, football, basketball. We've had Mike Jones on this podcast. He's actually been on twice because he said happy birthday to Coach Turner.
Birthday thing, yeah.
But it's the respect there. You get on the field or you get on the court or the ice or the pool, whatever it is, and you battle it out. But it's that respect, because life is too short not to look at those rivalries. But then when we're off the field, we're trying to make these young men and young women at other schools better. And I appreciate you saying that, Pat. Thanks.
Absolutely.
DJ Krissy.
Hey, I just wanted to welcome you to our podcast. This is DJ Krissy.
Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, we got lots of folks here. Thanks.
Yes, she is our esteemed engineer.
Yeah.
So when you hear this podcast, she's the one who makes us sound great. Pat, look, we are thrilled to have you here today and want to jump right into the conversation. Look, lacrosse can no longer be on the back burner of professional sports. From national coverage, be it the ESPN networks or the current agreement with NBC Sports, lacrosse has emerged as a well-deserving sport in its popularity. Where do you think the rise in popularity comes from?
I think, just with lacrosse in general, it's just such a unique sport. And, for me, I think there's just something, I don't want to sound corny or anything, but just kind of majestic, something I don't even know if you can really describe when you get your first stick and go out there to practice and practice on your own, that, you just kind of fall in love. And I think, so as a player, again, don't want to be corny, but kind of the spirit in that stick of when you're playing, practicing, getting better, that players, just find love in the game itself. And then I think, at least, how I can relate to it, or my family, I think my parents, who have absolutely no lacrosse background, see their children, fall in love with it. I think, naturally they gravitate towards that as well. So, I just think anyone that really kind of spends time invested in the game kind of end up falling in love with it, or, finding something they really like about it, and, just hone in. And then in terms of national coverage, I mean, there's some legit athletes that are playing professional lacrosse, and obviously you use the word professional, but, there's guys that, for instance, Chris Hogan is playing now, but there's guys like Miles Jones, Sergio Perkovic, Paul Rabel, legit athletes that if they chose to play another sport, I'm confident that they probably could have been professional athletes in whatever they kind of
pursued. So I think, the legitimacy of the game is starting to be shown. And, these guys are legit athletes that, although they may not make the $1 million contracts as, some NBA stars, but they certainly could be, some of the best athletes in the world.
Oh, I agree.
Pat, you literally led me into my next question, and I have a few, but for this part, it was about multiple sports. I mean, you grew up playing other sports, and when we've had other, PLL guests on here, whether it be Tom Schreiber or Kyle Harrison, or even talking to folks that love the sport of lacrosse, whether it be basketball, hockey, whoever it is, talk about the importance of playing multiple sports, because I think lacrosse, and again, we've beaten this drum a few times, it translates into a lot of different things, but I still believe as a coach, when we're meeting young 8th graders or young players, that play as many sports as you can, and you got to get your grades up and do as many sports as you can for as long as you can. And you mentioned folks like Miles Jones and Chris Hogan and folks that do that, but talk about how important it is to play multiple sports to the young people.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think parents, families, kids, they need to be exposed to multiple sports to make them, better people, right? Like, you learn so much from different coaches. You learn so much, and what I mean by different coaches, your football coach might be the drill sergeant and your lacrosse coach might be kind of laid back, but, I'm going to kind of dive deep here. Like, your football coach might coach a certain way that, later on in life when you're done playing football and you get into the real world 9 to 5 and you're used to having a hard boss, you can relate back to that 8th grade season and was like, look, I've already dealt with someone like this. Like my coach, you can't throw anything at me because I've already seen it. So like in terms of like real life aspects, like you're getting exposed to being coached certain ways. And then when it applies to sport, I coach lacrosse now and I have kids that play lacrosse year round and they don't understand how to play in the pit game because they never played basketball, right? Like they don't understand 2-on-1 because they never played soccer. So there's so much, that sport, crosses over to different sports. So, and especially lacrosse, lacrosse is the ultimate combination of every game on the face of this earth. And, guys that that just put one, egg in one basket in terms of lacrosse, I think they're worse off than guys that are exposed to football, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, tennis. I wrestled and I think wrestling, helped me out so much for team sport because it just, there's just so much that could be said. And I think athletes in general need to play multiple sport until, up until they can. And I think you ask any college athlete, Don Sargent, who recruited me to Virginia, used to say, publicly, he only recruits 2-sport athletes. He wants to recruit 2-sport athletes and he wants to recruit, preferably kids that played football that, have a chance at being either a football or lacrosse player. So, I can't speak enough on it in terms of, what it helps the kids out in the real world and then what it helps them out in the game itself.
All right, Pat. We use quotes here a lot, and I'm going to offer a quote that I believe you are familiar with. This is, honestly, I do 5 different podcasts. This is the most important quote I've ever read. I think you're familiar with this one. Now, more than ever, I feel a greater level of responsibility to help pave the way for black lacrosse players in America. Playing in the Premier Lacrosse League and being in the national spotlight have allowed our voices to be amplified and unrelatable experiences to be shared while helping to uplift those whose voices and experiences are suppressed. When I step on the field, my hope is that young black lacrosse players are inspired by our level of play, and off the field see a group of black professional players who are actively pushing for change in the sport and are equally proud to be a black lacrosse player in America. Tell me what this means to you nearly 1 year later.
Yeah, so, this was, a quote that I said in the Inside Lacrosse magazine last year after the wake of, the George Floyd incident and the Black, Lives Matter movement. And what I mean by Black Lives Matter is no political agenda, no association besides those three words. That's Black Lives Matter. And, I take personal responsibility anytime I step on the field, for multiple reasons. But one more than ever, now is, because of the color of my skin and because lacrosse is being amplified on NBC and because the Rainbow Brothers are pushing lacrosse to be, seen globally, and which means there's more eyes on the sport, and which ultimately means there's more, brown and black, people watching the game. And for me personally, like, I just feel the responsibility to, perform to my fullest and to hold myself to a high standard on and off the field and how I act and how I play the game, so that hopefully someone's watching and can say, I can do that, or I want to play like this guy, and I can just be, some sort of leader or inspiration for the next person that wants to follow suit, and just to give kind of hope, because, this sport has done so much for me that, I truthfully don't even know where to start. Every single job that I've ever had, every great opportunity in life, ultimately has kind of happened because I played lacrosse, and I truly want, the next person, especially, someone of my color, to have the same opportunities that I've been granted. So, lacrosse is special. And again, like, if you have the opportunity to see me play, I just try to play 100 miles per hour, and, with in the back of my mind, knowing that, there's someone in the stands, there's someone on TV, that's watching TV, that's watching me. And if I'm slipping up or I'm not giving 100 miles per hour, I just don't want to let down the next generation. And I just want to be some sort of hope, for the next generation as well.
Pat, look, I'm the father of a boy who's 11 who looks like you. And when we can turn on the TV, or better yet, when we can see you at Audi Field in September, it's going to be real nice for him to be able to see someone who looks. I'm trying to get him in lacrosse. He's doing the flag football, the tennis, and the basketball thing, but we're going to try to turn that corner with him. But seeing people like you is like my daughter seeing Madam Kamala Harris. You see what I'm saying? Like, we know it's possible now, and you're taking that seriously. Yeah. So thank you for doing that, Coach O'Neill.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Adam's at the right school. He's over at Landon School right now. It's a great lacrosse program. They should certainly get a stick in his hand over there with the Bears. But I want to touch on kind of continue what you were talking about, and I appreciate that answer. But how do you translate that into? You mentioned you're coaching, all right? So you're coaching out in Arizona. And to have those, what for you probably aren't difficult conversations, but for a lot of the kids maybe, or their families, how do you translate that what you just talked about to the players? And then a second part of that is the PLL and a lot of your teammates, because I love that Inside Lacrosse article, and I love that it is, out in the public. But are you guys having those conversations as well with your teammates, whether it's with the Redwoods or in the whole league?
Yes, I'll start with the high school, right? I'm coaching now in Arizona. I've been living in Arizona for 4 years and kind of been engraved in the lacrosse community. And, similar to that quote in terms of, trying to pave a way for brown and black people or people of color, like, same thing for these kids out in Arizona. I'm just trying to be a positive role model. And, in fact, that they came out to the game in Baltimore this past weekend and
awesome.
Able to watch me play live for the first time. And, I was making sure I was sprinting off the field in between shifts, because I know that if someone on my team doesn't sprint off the field, they're going to get a earful from me. So again, like, living up to the standard of expectation, like, I got to make sure I'm upholding that. But in terms of, just kind of where we are, as a country, and making sure that people are aware of, situations and whatnot. Like, I just want to be an open book for these kids, right? Like, I want them to feel comfortable coming to me saying, Coach, I don't understand, like, why this matters, or I want to know more. And, in fact, like, I've worn, I wore my Black Lives Matter T-shirt during a game, and I'm sure that ruffled some feathers. But I want the players and families to know that they can come to me for anything. I take pride in who I am. Maybe if you asked me early on in terms of growing up, I would have been a little bit, bashful or embarrassed to kind of, open up and tell my whole story. But now, I just feel like I've been given a gift to share my experiences. And, part of sharing the experiences is making sure that, people understand that you're an open book and that that they can come to me and ask anything, and I'll be open and forthcoming. And so, that's what my team out here. And, in the PLL, I applaud Mike and Paul Rabel for, kind of what they did last summer. They took a stand for, social injustice, and they received a lot of feedback, and they also, received a lot of thank yous. And, I think, it was tough, but it was the right decision for them to make. And, it opened up honest questions and whatnot in the locker rooms. Like people, the first day of practice, the first thing Coach Nat St. Laurent wasn't going over X's and O's. He was like, hey, I want to make sure this group is all on the same page and good and understands what's going on in our country, and, know that at any point, we can have a conversation. So I applaud Coach for that. And, I like to think our locker room in the PLL is one of great people, and something that, if people have an issue or question, they're not afraid to hide it. So, and that just comes with great leaders, and that just comes from the top down with, again, the Rabel brothers, to Coach Nat St. Laurent, our coaching staff, to our captains. We have freaking Kyle Harrison, man, who's a living legend. Just right. Running the locker room. So we have a ton of great leaders, and I couldn't say anything bad about our group, and I think we made sure some of the things that were pressing in our nation were addressed in the locker rooms, which a lot of locker rooms don't do, to be honest. They kind of leave politics, or they kind of leave the outside world to the outside world, and lacrosse or whatever goes on in the locker room. So, kind of long-winded, but
no, not at all. But we've talked with Steve about this before, but it's going to take sports like lacrosse, like ice hockey, like Major League Baseball, to continue to push and not just have a movement that lasts a summer, but it continues, right? To continue to represent that, speak your truth, live your truth, and say that, these injustices are they're wrong, and we're going to continue to talk about it and be there. And like I said, live that truth. So I appreciate that answer, Pat.
We gotta talk about this weekend, brother. This weekend's matchup versus the Water Dogs. Both teams sit at 2-2 with relatively similar stats in the scores for, scores against categories. Now, I know we want to guard against looking ahead, but a win for the Redwoods this weekend, plus a little help from the Archers, means that you're second place here. Then the following week, you will meet the Whipsnakes in a battle for sole possession of second as we head into the All-Star break. So what does it take for the Redwoods to position themselves as we head into the second half of the PLL season?
I'm glad you kind of asked this because, just to be truthfully honest, I don't think anyone in our locker room is looking past the Water Dogs. I don't think anyone in our locker room is, really thinking about first, second place. I think truthfully, this is an honest answer. I think we're all trying to figure out how we can be the best versions of ourselves. And, I had a conversation with Coach Nat St. Laurent earlier today. Wanted to talk about, just some personal stuff. He's a great resource and someone who I look up to, but also to just kind of get his insight of the team and what his thoughts are. And, he reassured, hey, look, we're not pushing any panic buttons. And, to be honest, we haven't even thought about, and I don't want this to come off like locker room bulletin board material, but we haven't thought about the Water Dogs yet because we're so focused on ourselves. We're trying to figure out how to perfect our defense and how to, make it inner game adjustments. And on offense, we're trying to figure out, how do we have so many great players. We have so many, former college All-Americans, professional All-Stars. How do we make this group work? So we're working on ourselves, and I think, you know, by us focusing on ourselves and trying to be the best version, you know, everything will fall into place. And I don't mean that as like kind of the corny like answer of like getting around, you know, first, second place and point differential, but I truthfully believe that, you know, when the Redwoods are good, it's because they're focusing on themselves, not their opponents, and you know they're doing the little things right that will pay off in the long run. So Water Dogs are a great team. They're kind of, you know, where we are a little bit with their backs up against the wall, and you know have kind of won some games and kind of lost some games. But I think what this game comes down to is what team is going to be the best version of themselves, and you know, I like to believe that if the Redwoods do that, it should be, you know, we'll be in a good place.
All right.
So, Pat, running camp this week for youth players, kids ages 8 all the way up to 14. And I always talk about, at some point during the week, pick your favorite player. To talk about your favorite player and why is that your favorite player. And you kind of alluded to it when some of your players were watching you sprint off the field, right? At all times, you're sprinting off the field, you're doing the things. But I tell them for the reasons, not only while they're on the field, but when they're in timeouts. How are they treating their teammates? How are they acting to the officials or to their coaches? And so this is kind of a two-part question here. Who was your favorite player growing up that you wanted to emulate and be like, and that you watched and said, that's who I want to be, number one? And the second part of the question is, who is the first lacrosse player, and it can't be Rabel because you guys went to the same high school and you know him, that you were completely starstruck by on the lacrosse field? Go ahead.
Man, so you know, part of the reason why I went to DeMatha was because of Paul Rabel. You know, not gonna, you know, lie. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. Was courted to go to high school at Spalding, Severn,
St.
Mary's.
Yeah.
Right. It came down to DeMatha and St. Mary's, and you know, I actually had 2 cousins that went to DeMatha and a brother that went to DeMatha. So I always kind of knew or thought I was going to end up at DeMatha, but going to some of those high school games and watching like Paul Rabel, Danny Gallagher, you know, those guys were awesome. And like you fast forward and I'm in middle school, maybe 7th, 8th grade, and Paul's probably now at Hopkins, and just to see a guy like shoot on the run like that, I was, you know, blown away. I mean, I watched Kyle Harrison too. I had like the old, you know, VCRs and listening to Leif Elsmo, you know, do his weekly recap, and I would just rewind it and watch it again, and seeing Kyle, you know, split and shoot on the run. So, you know, I would say those 2, but like truthfully, like lacrosse wasn't my favorite sport. Football was my number 1.
Okay.
So,
all right.
You know, I was a football guy, so I would try to bring like that football flair to the lacrosse field in terms of just kind of, you know, I'm small, but just be like a bruiser, and the punt return, like it's a similar to the clear. Like the clears, now that I'm no longer like a true offensive midi, the clear and the face-off wing are like my favorite part of the game, because it's just like the whole punt return running back style. You hit a hole and, you know, you just gotta, you know, break free. So,
right.
You know, I truthfully didn't have like a guy that a favorite like diehard lacrosse player, but you know, the first person I was starstruck was probably Kyle Harrison. I remember the first time I had to go up against him, it was my rookie year. I was initially with the Outlaws, then got dropped and picked up by the Bayhawks, and they're like, "Hey, we're playing against the Ohio Machine this week." I was like, "Sweet!" And then we go to overtime, and coach is like, "Hey, we're going to start you on Kyle in overtime. He has the ball." I'm like, "Why the hell are you going to put me on Kyle Harrison?" Like, what? So, like, you know, Kyle is the GOAT, but, you know, I defended him. He didn't score. And that was probably like a moment in the league where I was like, one, like, holy crap, this is Kyle Harrison. And then 2, I was like, I think I belong if I'm able to kind of match up with him a little bit. And, you know, then a year or 2 later, Kyle and I are on the same team, and the first time I actually meet him is with the Ohio Machine, and the guy is just like the salt of the earth, the nicest guy. Like, I think that's why I was starstruck. I'm like, this is Kyle Harrison. Like, when you think stars and you think like all-stars and Hall of Famers and GOATs. Like, you kind of think like these guys might be egotistical,
Right.
Don't really want to, spend time with the little guy. And, this guy was just so welcoming and has still been just such a great resource in, my development, my career, and, has been my teammate now for 4 or 5 years. And, someone who I look up to and is just, probably a better person than he is a lacrosse player. So that should tell you how, what I think of him, to say the least.
All right, last question. Best rivalry in high school, then college, and pro. Boom.
Let me interrupt.
Okay, so
you could go football. You could go football
ahead.
or wrestling.
Yeah, because he played UVA, didn't he?
No, you're good.
Yeah, well, no, I want to. Yeah. Let him
okay.
answer, Kurtis. Come on, man.
I just want to make sure we talk football. The man played football too.
He might have to. Was good
Yeah.
counsel back then? Were you guys battling with good counsel in football pretty hard? Was that 09? No, 10.
Yeah,
right?
So, I mean, those are some epic games. Good counsel, DeMatha football was certainly an unbelievable rivalry. I mean, every time we played, I think, it was always like a 1-score game. I played against Diggs. I played against Jenkins, Caleb Porzell, some absolute DMV legends. And then lacrosse-wise, like I those DeMatha Gonzaga games were epic in my opinion. I mean, maybe not right now with, Gonzaga kind of being on top, but the 2006, 2007 to 2010, those are some awesome years and some great teams to go against. And even though we lost, and I still haven't watched that game my senior year in the championship, that itself was an unbelievable game too. And to start the streak of 6 or 7 championships for you guys, Casey.
I promise I wasn't fishing for this answer. I promise I was not.
Oh, you're good. Like that, the year before that, like we played at, I think, Bishop Ireton and we win to go to the playoffs. Like, they were just awesome games. And, I think probably lacrosse has accelerated 100 times since I was in high school, and to see these kids on YouTube, catch the ball between their legs and throw a backbreaker or around the world. There's no shot any of us were doing that or allowed to do that in high school practice or games. But those were some blue collar games where people were hitting each other after the whistle and, guys going for ground balls and maybe not going for the ball and rather going for the man or their wrist. Those were awesome games. And, so I think, and maybe the young guys nowadays don't even really know what that rivalry was like. But for me, anytime I got to suit up against Gonzaga, I knew it was going to be a great day, just in terms of competition and competing against each other. College, us at Virginia, we didn't really have many rivals. I guess some of the traditional rivalries in college lacrosse are the, Hopkins, Maryland. I think Notre Dame Duke has kind of become some sort of rivalry a little bit, but anytime you play an ACC team, there's no love lost. People are trying to beat the crap out of each other. Everyone's gunning for first place. For me, me personally, I've always loved playing against Maryland because that was just my, the hometown team, and it was just, they competed. The Terps, they're tough people, but they like to tell you they're tough as well. So, the whole be the best movement, it was always fun playing against them. And I don't, I'm not trying to really, knock them because I think Coach Tillman has done an unbelievable job at the University of Maryland. And anytime you're wearing those colors, you probably have a great chance of competing for a national championship. But, those games were fun, just Maryland, Virginia. I hope that, Virginia can get them back on the schedule, or there could be some sort of ACC Big Ten challenge like they have in basketball, because I know for a fact, having a UNC versus Maryland or a Duke Maryland game would be great for the sport.
Yep.
All right.
He's got his pro.
I'll touch on the pro real quick.
Please do.
Yeah, I think, I think because we're trying to get over the hump, like playing against the Whips always kind of, means something a little bit more. They beat us in overtime the first year. Last year, they beat us in the semis to go to the championship in overtime. And, they have some unbelievable players, a bunch of Terps actually. And then, they're coached by a great coach too. And I just think, that game always brings out the best in both of us. So, if I had to say there's some sort of rivalry or, game that gets the juices flowing a little bit more, it's when we play against the Whips.
Well, you do have that coming up in a couple of weeks, sir. So we'll be sure to watch. Now, all right, now, Pat, this is where we get to have some fun. We have something here on the podcast called the Starting Five. This is where I ask Coach Turner and O'Neal 5 questions. They have 30 seconds to answer each question. Now, for you, I'm only going to ask one question. Now, if you don't answer in 30 seconds, DJ Krissy will do this. Now,
oh man,
Mr. Harbeson, we've never had a guest get dinged, so we are counting on you to keep the streak going. Are you ready for your one question, sir?
I think so, yeah. Let's do it.
All right. You are leading the Redwoods out onto the field for a championship game. Tell me what song you are having them play in the stadium as your team comes out of the tunnel.
Ooh, I'm probably playing something by Drake. Right now. Yeah, right now, probably going with maybe Nonstop by Drake. I don't know. Something Drake. It has to be Drake. What's next? One of those songs, Nonstop, What's Next. And he's coming up with a new album. Hopefully it drops this summer so that we can have some more music that comes out. And it's actually funny. Every time in the locker room, we have a DJ, Glaze, Eddie Glazner, and at some point, like before the game, before we walk out, I'm like, man, can you just put on something by Drake real quick just to get the energy going? So that's funny you mentioned that.
All right. Before you go, Pat, please tell our audience how they can connect with Pat Harbeson and the PLL Redwoods over social media.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm at pharb40, and then on Instagram, I'm pharb19. So pharb40, pharb19, and shoot, if any fans or anyone listening wants to connect over social media, I'm all for it.
All right. We want to thank you for doing this today, first of all. We love that you joined us. As always, it is important for us to cover lacrosse and, of course, the PLL. We do wish you and the Redwoods a healthy season as you move forward. I'd like to see you and the fellas at Audi Field in September. So can we, at least tentatively, can I pencil you in?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't want to count our chickens before the hatch, but again, I think if we're playing Redwoods Lacrosse, the expectation is to be playing in DC, and being a local guy, it would be great to play one more time in around that area this summer, so friends, family can come out and support. So that's the goal, that's the dream, and trying to host a trophy at the end. That's what it's all about.
Good stuff.
All right, you did that in 2011. We'd love to see you do it in 21, 10 years later. Ladies and gentlemen, taking a TO with us today, Mr. Pat Harbeson. Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. We'll connect soon. Thank you so much.
Yep, I'll see you guys.
You and Coach Turner continue to bring guests that bring value to what we do. And that, I'll tell you, that was an interview. And I like I said, that quote was important to me. Doing my research on him, he was right there. He was right there. And I believe that he undersold himself saying he's a low guy on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting 22 minutes a game, 30 minutes a game, whether you're on the front lines with social injustice, whatever you can do to use your position. Well, we're going to get to all this. We're going to break this down in a minute. Krissy, let's go to break, and we'll be right back.
Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock, 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
O'Neill Development is a custom builder in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore. Recognized nationally as a premier builder, O'Neill Development has received awards for historic restoration and urban infill work. Committed to best practices in green building, O'Neill Development also provides support in budgeting, architect selection, and design development during the critical stages of planning. O'Neill Development, building, remodeling, and development since 1975. Find us at www.o'neilldev.com or call 301-840-9310. This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
The Tamara Cusick Team. Ready, set, sold. Real estate is more than just houses. It's about people too. The Tamara Cusick Team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. The Tamara Cusick Team isn't just a partner. They literally sold us the home where the Take a TO broadcasts from each week. Visit www.tamara4homes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. We are back with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Thanks for listening and watching as we enjoy meeting you here each week. Coach O'Neill, you're guilty. You did it. You have successfully made me a full-fledged lacrosse fan. Are you happy now?
Well, you've made me more of an NBA fan, so
Okay,
it goes both ways there.
Having guests like Pat really speak to the sport, its popularity, and how the players in league understand the significance of sport, not just in terms of 17 to 8 or 14 to 11, or playing for a trophy, but the role that the athletes in the Redwoods take this seriously, clearly, in advancing our social and political efforts. You know, like I was saying before break, forget how many minutes you play, forget how many goals you score, how many face-offs you win, how many loose balls you get, all that stuff you see. You like the way I'm quoting the terminology.
You are impressing me today, big time.
But you get a guy like LeBron James, he can perform on the court and he does the social thing.
Sure.
But it's important to Harbeson that kids that look like him see him go 100% sprinting off the field when his shift is over. Like, talk to me about your thoughts on having a guy like that on the show who's clearly on the up and up and looking at, I'm a role model.
You hit the nail on the head that he was very modest about his look. You're one of, I don't know how many professional lacrosse players in the PLL. I mean, that is the hardest group to make outside of maybe making Team USA,
right?
Or Team Canada. But I just remember that young man in high school, and he was talking about the rivalries, but man, was he a good athlete. But it wasn't just flashy. It was tough hustle plays, those GBs, the little things that he did, and you just admire players like that. Even though they drove you crazy in the scout room, how are we going to handle this?
Oh, absolutely.
How are we going to check this guy? How are we going to get by him? He is the X factor on that team.
But he's not a bullet point on your dry erase board if he's not worth paying attention to.
For that attention. But that's how he's kind of continued to make a career out of lacrosse, and that's how he's continued to stand up for what he believes in and to have other people say, this is how I'm going to go. Speak your truth, act your truth, and follow me. And that quote, and to see him to take the pride into what he's earned and also what he's giving back to the kids.
You go.
And it all comes back to, I believe with every guest, is that they love talking to coaches. We've all coached here before, that we are trying to change young people and trying to change this world. And look, he's out. I know the school he's at. It's Brophy Prep. It's a Jesuit school out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful school. Those are some lucky kids to have a coach like that. Some wonderful, wonderful kids. And
he looked up to Kyle.
Yeah,
right?
He looked up to Kyle, obviously, who we had here on the podcast.
Season 1.
But Pat is he wears his heart on his sleeve. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's awesome. He's awesome.
Right. Well, I mean, another great guest that we can thank you for bringing him in. The PLL seems like they're doing it the right way. I'm watching PLL stuff, NBC Sports. We have the Stanley Cup Finals about to start on our studio monitor here, and PLL is doing it the right way. I think.
It's going to take time, as we know. Obviously, it's tough to get the stratosphere of football and to basketball, and even Major League Baseball. Hockey has slowly but surely gotten there over decades and decades. Right. But it is. I mean, everywhere I look now are the summer camps and the summer tournaments, and everybody's starting to morph to that sport. I mean, even talking to NFL Players Association president, I mean, he's at every Maryland lacrosse game. Right. I mean, it means the world to him. I mean, you're slowly but surely seeing this sport grow. Now, granted, in our lives, is it ever going to get to that status? I don't know, but these people are certainly taking the right steps. They're taking advantage of the popularity of the sport in the youth. And they're taking advantage of the popularity of diverse lacrosse players coming up the ranks. Right. Miles Jones, he talked about, Kyle Harrison, Pat Harbeson. I mean, it's folks, watch this PLL. It is a beautiful game, and I love that Pat made a reference to sort of the beauty of the game and how you see the players come out. And we talked about the championship run last year and the ties to the Native Americans, right? The creators game, the spirit behind it, the ties it has to every sport. And he's just an incredible ambassador to it, and he does it the way the sport's supposed to be played, with a little bit of toughness, hustle, and he'll jack you up on that field, man. He might be smaller in stature, but man, he can pack a punch.
Well, look, Coach Turner already knows this. You don't know this yet. If the PLL is listening, I did complete your media credential form online today.
Let's get him.
So this is what I want. I filled out my media credential form for Audi Field, and we have requested media access for the PLL championship in September.
Hey, their first season, they practiced at our field. So
I filled it out. I filled it out online. So if we can get those press credentials to be on the field as on-field photographers, we'd love to get some interviews at that PLL championship game. I'm making it public here. Between you, between Kyle, between Harbeson, if we can pull some strings, I'd like to be on that
field. We had Schreiber on the show, and let's see what we can do.
I'd like to pull those strings because we are a media outlet, and we'd love to cover the PLL championship right here on the podcast.
Heck yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, we could broadcast. Whatever. Well, no, I don't know, because NBC Sports is going to have the exclusive. Sure. But we can get some live look-ins. That's all I'm saying, some live look-ins. We are coming right back with our weekly sports wrap-up. DJ Krissy, let's do it.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill, and then click subscribe.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend.
At Peace Players, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities in conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. We bridge divides between people through the game of basketball, and we develop young leaders who help to change perceptions. Find out more at www.peaceplayers.org. This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. This week's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Now, our weekly sports wrap-up. Coach O'Neill, we struggled a little bit when you were gone to try to cover this NHL, but I've done some homework. So I'm with you. I'm going to try to hold up my end of the bargain tonight. In just a moment, actually, we have it on the screen here. The puck drops on the 2021 NHL Stanley Cup Finals. As was the case months ago, with a lot of us, we were unsure how the pandemic would alter the league's ability to have a complete or at least an uninterrupted season, but here we are. A number 4 seed and a 3 seed make it to the finals. And I know there's realignment and all of that. Tonight, Emily Arena in Tampa is the backdrop. What are we looking at here, Coach O'Neill?
You know what was so weird was watching Montreal in what was not the Western Conference Finals, but playing Vegas and then seeing Tampa and obviously the Islanders. And that was a heck of a series to go to 7 games.
It was.
What are we looking at? I'll tell you this. This Montreal team has some. What's the proper word? They got some.
They got
moxie.
some chutzpah.
They got
some moxie and some chutzpah,
they
right?
They absolutely do, and it's fun to see. It reminds me a little bit of the run that the Caps made. I know the folks that listen to us around the country, I always talk about the Caps and the hometown teams, but it was a fun run. And Montreal, I think, is doing it just a little bit earlier than they were supposed to be doing this. However, I got bad news. I just think Tampa is too stacked, too loaded. I think them going through what they went through in the bubble last year and pulling it out, it's we talked a little bit off air, but I think it's 5 or 6. I think it's the Lightning in 5 or 6.
Tampa's top line, they score too much. They just score too much.
Turn it on.
And we're talking about guys who are not even getting, they're not getting the most minutes of anybody out there, but their top line they dropped 20-some goals maybe, or 20-some points, I think, so far. Montreal's top line ain't going to wow anybody with their offensive stats. But their defense, I mean, they got some guys who spit nails.
I mean, they get Carey Price. I mean, pound for pound, one of the best goalies. I think if you look at his stats, I mean, he's got to be a top 20 all-time type of goaltender, right? And is incredible there. I think Montreal plays off each other well. I think them, again, going the route that they went through to take down, I think it was Toronto, and they took down Vegas. And I forget it wasn't in the first round. It might have been the Winnipeg or somebody like that. But they've earned everything, and offense or defense prevail in the series. Look, defense, everyone says it wins championships, but, man, this Tampa offense is...
I've got Tampa dropping 6 or 7 goals tonight.
On game 1 tonight?
Tonight.
Well, we'll find, when this airs on Thursday, we'll either
we'll already know, right?
Notre Dame or not.
All right, so you said 5 or 6. I'm going Tampa in 6.
You're going 6?
I'm going 6.
I said 5 earlier. I'll go 6 with you. That's what I originally thought.
All right. NBA playoffs, Hawks, Bucks.
Woo!
Talk to me.
So I've been watching this a lot, and it's been fun. And believe it or not, after the Nuggets got disbanded, they still were playing basketball in Colorado on our trip. You better believe Cole and I were finding TV to watch those games.
You mentioned something about that. You texted us or something.
The Hawks just have something about them, and it starts with Trae Young. I mean, that young man, he went out last night, little injury, and came back. I thought he was going to come back and then lead them to get that win. But the Bucks just have something there. I felt like with the Bucks, and Giannis, is that they're just...
They're not exciting.
They're not really, but they just look. I think they play good defense. I think they rebound. I think they've got just the right amount of scoring, and it's going to be a tough hill to climb. But I think this series goes to at least 6 or 7. I definitely do. And then with Suns and Clippers, I mean, I think it's game over. I think it's game over tonight.
I think it is too. I'd like to see the Hawks get there. Here is where I'm sorry, I'm speechless because I didn't think I would see this. I didn't think I would see this at an NHL game, Stanley Cup Final. Sorry. As far as the Hawks-Bucks, the Bucks have been there, done that. They've tasted defeat. The Hawks are young. I would love to see the Hawks do it. Here's what worries me about that series. The Bucks, they were down by 15 or 16 yesterday, still came back and won, and Jrue Holiday stunk up the joint.
Right.
And they still had enough moxie to pull that off.
Right.
I think their backs were up against the wall a couple of series ago because they were down maybe 0-2 in a series, but here they are. I don't have a dog in this fight. I just don't want to see the Clippers. So either way with the Hawks-Bucks, I'm good on that side.
Let me ask you this. 2-3 months ago, someone said Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, Hawks-Bucks. Suns close. What would you have said? He said, no way. You might have taken the Bucks.
I would have put
no chance,
I would have
right?
put a thermometer up to your head and said, "Are you feeling all right?" No way, Hawks.
But this
no
is
way,
good for the NBA. But I'll tell you this: the NBA, in terms of ratings, is not excited if it's the Bucks and the Suns.
They're not happy about that now. They want to see Clippers Brooklyn.
Yes,
That's
what they want.
And if you throw the Lakers in there, that's okay. But they want to see Clippers Brooklyn.
But every once in a while, you need to take a hit because it happens in the NHL, it happens in Major League Baseball. Something they're like, really, Tampa Rays? Ugh.
So it can't be vanilla and chocolate. Sometimes a little bit of strawberry, right, Krissy?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to throw a little strawberry in it.
You know, you have your colors. You have purple. You have red, and then we were talking about
in broadcasting school. We had an instructor who always said that.
I had a trivia question today for the kids, and I was saying Roanoke, right? Roanoke College,
right?
And one of our players is having a great season, and we have prizes. Name their mascot. These kids could not name the mascot. Do you know what the Roanoke's mascot is? It's a color that's not red. It's not brown. It's not black. It's not white. It's not purple. It's not green.
Orange wave? I don't know.
So maroon. So it's one of those.
Roanoke Maroons?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's just one of those things where they're like, okay, we'll just take it.
All right. I'm going to go, it's going to be Bucks Suns. I don't think right now that Vegas is going to pay me a lot to say that because it looks obvious right now.
Agreed.
But Bucks Suns, and can the Suns ride this lightning? Can they ride this wave?
Well,
let's get there, huh? We'll talk about it next week.
Let's see. They got another game to win.
Coach, last week your Purple Eagles had the opportunity to play in a national showcase of lacrosse talent. I was watching you on the U. Tell us a bit about the games, the experience for your players, and where this positions Purple Eagles lacrosse moving forward. Now, after this tournament, it's not like it puts you into a next something, but you got more tread on your tires now.
We do.
So how does that help you?
We do. And after this mini season we had, which we were very grateful for, it wasn't the season that anybody wanted to have.
You got to play, Coach.
We got to play 10 games and learn a lot about adversity and getting to where we are. I couldn't have been happier because this is a sign of, okay, we're allowed to go to this event because last summer we couldn't. We couldn't go in the fall. We couldn't do anything in the winter. And so we were allowed to go to this event. We were allowed to showcase our younger guys in front of, there were 260 college coaches that came through in 3 days at this event.
On TV, they were showing a bunch of different coaches.
Yeah, so we play. There's 40 teams, and for this young group to come in to win our bracket against, a powerful Loyola Blakefield team from Baltimore, one of the best teams in Texas, to go beat a boarding school in Choate.
Did you get to even scout these teams before you played them?
No.
Right.
You go in there. Again. It's winning is great, and we all want to win the games. It's about the exposure for the boys, playing for their high school. Mm-hmm. And to have that time and to have my young coaches to prepare the guys and get them ready to be seen at this event was outstanding. And then to go and win a quarterfinal game and to get to play in a Final Four, to finish in a Final Four of 40 national teams, it's something to build on. But you know what, Kurtis? It's weight room time. It's training time. It's off-season time. It's time for the boys to start playing those other sports that Patrick was talking about and all the other guys.
That prepare them for
their
sport.
going there football and soccer and hockey. But now it is time for these boys to continue to see what they're going to build on. And we take that 5-goal loss we had in that semifinal, and we swing it, right? We just swing it because that weight room, that film, that study, and the progression in the year we're going to have, that's the goal. So I'm very, very proud of my young men and thankful to the families to help us in getting to that position.
Now, my quote's coming later, but what you just said, that 5-goal loss, makes me think of another quote that is very important to me in my business. Failure is not the opposite of success.
Yeah.
It's a part of that success.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling that sting. So what did a 5-goal deficit look like? What did we do to get ourselves there?
Yeah.
How do we, let's take a look at this film. We'll see the way you cleared this. We got to go this way. And, shots on goal were tough to come by. They move fast.
Summer ball, baby.
I was excited to see you guys on the U, though. I will tell you that. I was super excited.
We'll be back.
I was in the car watching. I'm like,
we'll be back.
I was waiting for them to show you on camera, though. Did you get any camera time?
Well, they had a couple other guys. And there's not enough Hollywood for everybody, so they couldn't.
Right. You didn't want to overwhelm them with your. I understand. No. They weren't ready for that.
I was too focused on it.
DJ Krissy, let's hear from our advertisers. We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerandoneal.com and click Submit Your Idea.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC. Next Level Lacrosse. A Squared Home and Office Solutions. Collins Funeral Home. Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill can be found on more than 15 podcast platforms. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other popular podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill records weekly with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
We're back, and now it's time for our final words, some thanks, and of course our weekly quote, this week offered by me. We invite you to become a friend of the program. To do so, go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Become a Friend. There's a little tab right there, right on the homepage. Click Become a Friend.
It's not the ding, it's the click.
It's the click.
Yeah.
So we have a ding earlier in the show, but now it's a click.
Yeah.
We're in the click. Now is the time to secure your spot as one of our advertisers for Season 3. For as little as $25 per episode, we can help build your brand in front of our audience of thousands each week. 92% of our advertisers return from Season 1 to Season 2, and now we are confirming returning and new advertisers. We have space for new ones for Season 3. Our growing podcast is the place where you want to build your brand with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Connect with us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and via all podcast platforms to get the episode drop alerts. Now, is that a ding or a click? I don't know what happens when the episode drops. It's a whip stink. I don't know.
It's a redwood.
It's a redwood. When we drop a new episode, redwood, you'll be among the first to know. We encourage you to join the conversation, so write to us with your questions and comments at turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com. Before we sign off, many thanks to our listeners and viewers. We want you to spread the word, so do us a favor and hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, and we ask that you help us to grow our community. A special thanks to Pat Harbeson. I'm going to tell you, episode 25, season 2 is always going to be a special one to me. We had a guy that I do follow in the PLL, and he says and does the right things for our young people. Thanks also to our engineer, DJ Krissy, to you, Coach O'Neill, along with Coach Turner remotely, and of course, Paula. Thanks to our donor sponsors and partners. We encourage our audience to support those who support us. You giving them a big air hug over there?
Yeah, just love my guy.
DJ Krissy, what's the word, young lady?
I'm still stuck on the Roanoke team having a color as their mascot.
We're going back there? That was like a segment ago. Okay.
That trivia is out there. I mean, some colleges have colors as their mascot.
There's not a
The Syracuse orange.
Syracuse orange. Oh boy, now I'm on the spot. The Roanoke maroon.
The St. John's, well, they're Red Storm.
But there's also there's a wave. Think of it, Pepperdine, isn't it?
But at least that's
Tulane.
That's
the
an
green
object.
wave.
Yes. What's that, Chris?
It's an object. It's not just a color.
I think a maroon is actually a bird. It's part of a.
Can we do the Silver Spring Yellow? Can we just have a college named the Silver Spring Yellow?
Yes.
Well, look, I played Burnt Mill Soccer, MSI, and we were the green team. That's all we were. The green team under Mr. Como. Mr. Como was my coach. We played at Burnt Mills. You know Burnt Mills.
Is that like the green puppy?
What the hell's the
What are you
green
talking
puppy?
about? What's the green puppy?
When you picked up your puppy.
Oh, no, she was Neon Green Girl. Yes.
Wow. Chris, you're going back like 15, 20 episodes.
And we just got our new harness that is that color.
See?
Chris,
Look at you.
full circle with her. You showed us a 6-month-old puppy earlier, and she brought it full circle.
Hey,
Look at you.
I looked over. Chris, she's working hard, not only the weekends now, but sneezing, yawning a little bit. And I was like, bless you. And she's like, what? I was like, bless you. She's like, trying to mute thing, and I just wrote down, I was like, bless you for sneezing.
All right, Coach O'Neill, your final thoughts, sir.
Hey, good to be back in the studio. It's good to be talking about the sport, as you know, that I love. I love all sports.
You're
People
making
know
me love it.
I love to compete, and it's really neat. And I love that a phone call or a text can be made to a young man like Pat Harbeson and say, hey, can you join the podcast? I say, hey, love to do it. And that we see that come to fruition, and to have the conversation that we had with him. So great stuff. Krissy, you get some rest. Vacation. She needs vacation. I keep looking over. She needs vacation.
Let's get her one.
Let's get her one.
Let's get her one.
When are the Crosses taking a vacation?
I don't know. I mean, we did the beach a time or two last year.
I remember.
In very close quarters and very safe. But let's work on it. I'm jealous. I saw what you did out there in Colorado. That looked nice.
Well, you didn't sound as jealous when I was telling about the driving and the things.
No,
we were
I'm
doing.
not jealous of that, brother. No.
As much as we can. But great episode, Coach T. I miss you. Get the dub tonight, or at least just coach those boys up. They're lucky to have you. So have a great week, everybody.
It's time for a quote. Oh, by the way, last word before my quote. Go follow the PLL Redwoods and Pat Harbeson. Do it. Here's my quote. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is truly ready, the teacher will disappear. Lao Tzu, the founder of philosophical Taoism. DJ Krissy, pull the plug.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our advertisers. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A-Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without the written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and/or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more than 15 podcast platforms in total. You can also view Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill weekly on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest episode drops. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Advertising opportunities are available.